with Tee Higgins. Now, they're hoping not to use the franchise tag on him again. That's according to NFL media. Mm-hmm. But if the team can't reach a deal before the March 4th deadline at 4 o'clock, it likely will use the tag on Higgins for the second straight year. That's according to Tom Pelissero.
Yeah, it's over. That's not going to happen.
Everybody who wanted to see Tee Higgins paired up with Terry McLaurin, it's most likely not going to happen. Adam Peters now is going to have to set his sights on either other free agent wideouts or drafting a wideout to complement Terry McLaurin in the upcoming draft, because it doesn't appear that Tee Higgins is coming to D.C. or any other city other than Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's not ideal, but
kind of depends on what tag they use, because if they use that exclusive tag where no other teams can negotiate, then they clearly are going to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
If they put the non-exclusive, then other teams can trade for him, and they perhaps have to offer up 2 number ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the deal. So they want to keep him. They obviously want to keep Chase. They got some money to spend at the receiver position.
They want to keep that trio together in Cincinnati. It's not ideal, but if you look at the list of the top free agents, this is from Pro Football Focus, Tee Higgins at wide receiver is number 1. Chris Godwin's 2.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be bad. Now he's coming off an injury.
He's coming off a major injury. And is he 28 or 29?
Like he's pretty durable.
He's not 24 at this point. Like
the other guys on the list that are names, number 3 is Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do really much in Buffalo, which I don't know.
He did not.
What was going on there?
He's fine, but
he's produced.
I'd sign him like if he was literally just walking down the street.
Number 4 is Stephon Diggs.
Ugh.
Another guy coming off an injury.
Coming off an ACL tear.
I don't know if I'm interested.
Mm-hmm. And he's got to be at least 30, right?
Apparently he's gonna bang every chick in town.
Then there's a drop off. Then number 5, they've got DeAndre Hopkins, who was in Kansas City this year.
No, thank you.
He seems to have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, it's not the strongest position for free agents.
No, we're probably gonna have to. If we
So
really
you might have to focus on Chris Godwin now.
Or why not just draft?
There was another name that I saw over the weekend that I was kind of intrigued by, if he's healthy, and that's been his big bugaboo over the last couple of seasons, is Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Now, Christian Kirk is a guy who has familiarity with Kingsbury from their time in Arizona, and he signed a big fat deal with the Jags a couple of years ago. And when he's healthy, he's a productive receiver. The problem is he's had like groin and shoulder injuries over the past couple seasons that have kept him off the field for long stretches.
So and there could be other receivers that are just let go. Just maybe they aren't free agents now,
right?
But right before a certain period of time, right before some deadline, they're just let go, and they are free agents.
Guys can become cap.
So they're
casualties.
not on this list now, but they could be sometime later in the spring,
right
after the draft.
But I do think that pretty much extinguishes the idea that you're going to be able to acquire Tee Higgins.
I also
but Kirk could be a good fit. Now the assumption is he signed a huge deal, but the assumption is that he's going to be released, which I don't know if that inspires confidence that you want to pick up a guy that a team's given up on, but he has that relationship with Kingsbury.
He becomes a reclamation project at a much lower price tag.
He signed a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Jaguars, but all the guaranteed money is paid out.
Right. So then he becomes
keeping
expendable.
Kirk on the roster would cost Jacksonville $16.2 million. And like I said, he's got a previous relationship in Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury from 2019 to 2022.
So that's a name to monitor. I never.
How old is he again?
I think Kirk is probably 27 or 28.
That's it?
I'd have to look it up. I never thought that Adam Peters, by the way, was going to pay the freight to go get Higgins, even if he was a full free agent. Did it strike you that he's going to pay Tee Higgins $30+ million a season to come in here and be?
Well, it's a lot of money, but we have no idea.
He's not going to spend a lot of money on anybody?
They've got money to spend. That's the thing.
I don't think he's had. I mean, we have this idea that everything has to be a bargain. I think he'll spend money.
I think now maybe
it's the right fit.
Now maybe he knows that Jaden is better than expected, and he's got him in a cheap price tag. Maybe he will go all out and have some splashy expenditures.
You don't have to do everything like a bargain hunt. You can go hard if you have the cap room.
Right.
Well, it's what they did with Marshawn Lattimore.
Kinda. Kind of.
So this is going to be the first offseason where we'll see what he does. It'd probably be a mix.
I mean, I would just look at the history, like say recent history. We talked about it in San Francisco, where they had the big name guys they acquired. So I don't think he's going to, necessarily be. Everything has to be frugal.
I mean, here's the other thing you got to think about. McLaurin's deal is up after 25.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I didn't realize that it was that close to being
He's
up.
an unrestricted free agent in 26.
Okay.
I don't know what you can give him. I don't know.
So, I mean,
He's getting up there now, right? He's not a spring chicken anymore.
So they clearly want to keep him.
I think he has to be he's the perfect guy to extend. Now, you're not going to give him
he's perfect.
Don't give him a 5-year deal. Just give him like a 3-year extension and pay him pretty good money because
the problem is he might keep getting it from somewhere else. That's the problem.
He could.
And then now you're in a pickle because he is the perfect guy to keep in your organization.
Yeah.
See, I don't think we know really what they're going to do because they could surprise you. We didn't know all the guys that they would bring in last offseason. And so we've talked a lot about Bobby Wagner, but maybe Peters decides to bring in the top linebacker, according to PFF, who was in San Francisco, and that's Dre Greenlaw.
Maybe
he could do something like that. So his big splash move might be in a position that you aren't necessarily expecting because he's going for the future versus, maybe he sells short on Bobby Wagner.
But
He could do that. I'm not a big fan of the duct tape, like with Zacchaeus and Noah Brown at wideout and De'Ami Brown. Like
they're fine to plug holes.
They're fine as like
holes.
4th and 5th wideouts. That's fine, but you need more talent up top. You need more like Terry McLaurin-esque type of talent.
And they're going to go out and get.
I agree.
If they have $78 million to spend or whatever the number is, I've heard 78, I've heard 90, but they'll have a lot of money to
with
spend.
all those scrubs. They scored 30 points a game.
I know, but so I don't want scrubs.
I know you don't, but that wasn't what held us back. What held us back is we couldn't stop the run.
Sure,
we didn't pressure enough.
Shore up all those spots, but just give me a few better receivers. Just give me better pedigree. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for a lot.
I know, but it's not at the top of the wish list.
So they may see how it shakes out, and maybe they are hoping for the Jaguars to move on from Kirk.
Right.
And then they scoop up a guy like that who's had success in Kingsbury's offense.
Yeah, Christian Kirk to me he'd be a great ad. Especially,
28, by the way.
Especially if he's not making $20 million.
Now the problem is you're giving like knocks on Godwin and Stephon Diggs coming off injuries. The reason why Jacksonville's willing to move on from is Kirk's had just a ton of injuries.
Sure. It's a roll of the dice.
Most guys have. I mean, most guys.
Everybody
gets hurt.
You're not going to find a perfect specimen, especially that's played 5 or 6 years in the league, that doesn't have some sort of injury history.
Right.
Like it's hard to find that guy.
I think Godwin would be fine because he's been pretty durable. This is his first major injury.
And what was the injury?
Snapped his ankle, didn't he?
Yeah, it was an ankle.
And he was on a ridiculous pace too.
I know.
When the injury occurred. I think he had like 55 catches through like 7 games.
He tore up the Commanders in week 1.
Yeah. And Mike Evans.
You're talking about Higgins, and you're talking about maybe bringing in a linebacker from San Francisco. I did see that another website had the Commanders as the favorite to land Myles Garrett. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, I think the odds actually out of Vegas, like if you went to FanDuel or something, has the Commanders number 1.
That's what I'm saying.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a big swing. Now, I saw, these are all these different reports, and this was speculation. I saw one person say, well, what if Cleveland put essentially kind of a poison pill? Like Cleveland said, okay, we'll trade Myles Garrett, but you have to take Deshaun. You have to eat that contract.
Adam Peters, he would rather go work on Pluto than accept Deshaun Watson.
It's not that Deshaun would play.
No, you can't throw that on your salary cap.
I don't think you could do that if you're a team that's competing. If you're a team in the bottom and you're rebuilding, maybe you could do some craziness. But I think if you think you have a legitimate chance,
that's the last thing they're doing.
He would laugh them off the phone. I don't think you could do that. He would be like, "You want me to take the Deshaun Watson deal? Hang up."
Maybe if you're like the Raiders or something. I don't think a team that's super competitive could do that.
By the way, the Justin Tucker situation is going exactly the way that the Deshaun Watson thing started.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
Starts with,
Starts
5
with
or 6 accusers, then it bounces up to about 10, and now I think it's up to 16 for Justin Tucker at this point.
Correct.
And the allegation, though, is basically that he was. There's no allegation that he grabbed anybody. Or
I think there's some little touching. A little touching.
It sounds like it's the same that Watson was accused of.
I thought Watson.
I think Watson may
aggressive.
have. Yeah, I think Watson might have gone like another level or two.
Yeah. I think it was like he was being a weird perv. That's what I gathered, and I'm not looking at it a lot. But what I have seen is he's being pervy. And he's insinuating stuff, and then when they leave, he's leaving a mess.
Yeah.
He's leaving his DNA there.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think there's
Not
also some
necessarily
touching
in front of anybody.
No. He gets
like under the towel.
He gets too excited,
Yeah.
and then you know
yeah,
the
but
result.
then I think he's kind of moving around to get some touching.
Yeah. He's squiggling, and something's going on under the towel.
And he's definitely trying to see if they take it to another level, which I'm sure there probably were some that did. Then maybe not in the complaint.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's a great question. Were there some?
Well, he keeps saying that he was never asked to stop going to whatever spot he was going to.
But then they have
because they're making money.
They have an email or two that show that he was.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it is.
But
very
of course,
similar.
he's going to say that.
Probably.
We could have saved him a lot of public shame and embarrassment. I mean, there is a little something called
What?
the internet. You can go to the internet.
Yeah, but some guys, that's not enough.
There are images that could get you, that could titillate you. You can do this in the privacy of your own home.
Justin Tucker, though,
Clearly
is a
didn't work
pervert.
Oh, clearly a pervert.
I saw something pretty haunting, and again, you can make fun of me, but this showed up on my algorithm. There was a guy that went through a drive-through.
Okay.
Did you see this?
I have not.
He went through the drive-through, and he had no pants on. And then the lady goes, "Oh, no, get out of here. That's unacceptable."
Right.
And he drives off.
Okay.
And then they got his license plate. And so, there was a story about it. He killed himself like 3 days later.
Oh,
Brutal.
that is brutal.
Brutal. But, I mean, he's driving around with no pants, and he's trying, titillating himself or whatever. Or,
taking care of himself, doing,
doing that bit.
Maybe his pants were on the ground.
Maybe they fell on the ground.
No, the pants were down, and he was, and they told him, and he drove off, and he thought, okay, well, that'll be the end of it. No, he killed himself 3 days later from the shame.
Cheery story.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I agree with Case.
Great.
Just go on the internet.
Yeah, just go on the internet.
Should be enough for most people.
Don't harass a bunch of massage therapists who are just trying to get through their day.
Yeah.
Okay, just take care of it at home.
Yeah.
Could have saved yourself a lot of embarrassment.
Yeah,
and probably saved your job too. Because I mean, at some point the Ravens are going to have to be like, I mean, this is outrageous.
Well, there's no way.
0.0% chance he can come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking great.
And I don't think he can play anywhere.
Right.
The most renegade team. It's over. Yeah, it's over, Johnny.
All right, coming up later in the show. Don't forget
some desperate teams for kickers, man.